Hello YouTube, we are back. This is the next day from here, because music? No? Come on, man. There's supposed to be music. Well, we are back with another part of a game of Turnabouts. Last time, we got through the first part of Connor Iving's testimony, or as I put in the title of the previous video, The Thief. There we go. There's music now. Alright. Press. Can't seriously believe that after everything we've proven. Why would Mr. Shadow go so far as to blackmail you into playing along with his game? The guy went a little nuts. You've seen it for yourself. It's weird, but let's not make this game out to be something important when it ain't. There's no way that Mr. Shadow went to all that for no reason. Not to mention, there's one more big thing regarding the game that we haven't discussed yet. If I bring that up now, there's no way that Ivan can deny it. There's two behind the defense bench and 3 other associates intended for us to take part in a murder mystery party. You've got the wrong idea. The start of this game was just that, a game. Nothing strange about it. Ha 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 ha. No way, Jose. Thank you. I thought that was the right thing to use. There's one more big thing that you're forgetting about a witness. Or maybe you just didn't want to talk about it. What are you saying? Isla Stratter, the victim's daughter. On the night of the game, 3 years ago, she was murdered. She was stabbed to death in the middle of a party held at Stratter Manor, in the study upstairs. In other words, her murder was exactly the same as the one portrayed in the murder mystery game. Ah! Order in the court. What is the meaning of this? The fictional murder was based on the real-life murder of the victim's daughter? Glad to see that we're finally bringing this up. In fact, this was the whole reason I took such an interest in this case. Huh? I was aware of the Isla Stratter's murder even before the killing 2 nights ago. A rather perplexing case that the police could not solve. Then Herr Stratter was killed, and I learned about the murder mystery game that he was holding. I was quite shocked at what I found. The same guests had been gathered in the same location as 3 years ago. The mystery revolved around a murder in the same room using the same weapon. And I even found a copy of the testimony that Herr Stratter gave to the police. The only difference was that the names of each guest had been replaced with their role in the game. So even that testimony we found was evidence from the murder 3 years ago? Yep. Well, Fraulein, you should have realized by now what it was that Herr Stratter was planning. I should? Although, now that I think about it, maybe I do know what this whole game of his was about. So, this was Gavin's plan. I did find it odd that he would choose to have Iving testify about the game. I mean, he hasn't even made a single argument for my guilt yet. But that's just because he wanted us to understand what this game really, truly was. The blackmailing, the missing killer role, the similarity to Isla's death, the reason that Mr. Wright and I were even invited in the first place. There's only one explanation that I can think of for why Stratter put this all together. There's a clear piece of evidence that I have that clearly states what his objective was. I understand. To find the killer. It was right in front of me this entire time. Catch the killer. The victim wasn't referring to the killer in the game. He was talking about the killer from 3 years ago. What? Stratter invited the 4 possible suspects back to his manor, and blackmailed them using their roles to ensure that they took part in the game. He recreated the evidence from his daughter's murder, and left us an account of everything that took place that evening. Finally, he invited Phoenix Wright, a man well known for solving complex murder cases, and instructed him to find the killer in this recreation of his daughter's murder. The reason that nobody was given the killer as a role is because Stratter didn't know which of the guests was the murderer 3 years ago. Instead, he was waiting for us to figure that out for ourselves. It was all done so that Isla's killer would finally be revealed. I don't believe it. Perhaps you don't, but someone did. Am I right, witness? You. So you're saying that the other guests all knew about Arcus' plan from the start? Once they saw the setup for the game, there was no way that they wouldn't have figured it out. Each and every one of them would have realized that Herr Stratter was doing. In that case, why is Mr. Wright the one that's being put on trial here? He had no connection to the case 3 years ago. The envelope we were given didn't hold anything even close back to that. Myself and the defendant were the only ones in that manor who didn't have some kind of motive. Yeah, perhaps so. But motive isn't everything when it comes to a murder case, and the evidence has shown that only Herr Wright could commit this crime. That's wrong, though, as I'm sure that our witness would be happy to explain to you. Which is wrong, though, because, you know, with the map, the secret passage. Very well, I suppose we have strayed from our original purpose. Your testimony, please, witness. Right. Sure thing. Well then. 8 minutes of straight talking. Holy crap. Ah. Why Wright's the killer? There were only 7 people, including Stratter, in the manor on that night. Of those 7, only Arcus and the defendant were upstairs at the time of death. I was in the main hall at the time of the murder, and not a single person passed by me. The staircase in the main hall is the only way to move between floors. I already see a contradiction. Making the defendant the only person who could have killed Arcus. Now that's an easy one to do. Yes, if that were true, it would make Mr. Wright the only possible suspect, even without a motive. You understand the situation now? Oh, don't you, Fraulein? The victim was last seen alive at 9:20 p.m. by yourself and Herr Wright, and his body was discovered at 9:50 p.m. Herr Wright was the only suspect on the upper floor during those 30 minutes. Not good. Having testimony added to the court record. Oh? A record of Iving's movements on the night of the murder. Ah. Okay. When the party began, Iving was in the dining room with Grace. The two split up just before the murder from 9:20 to the time that the body was discovered. Iving was in the main hall of the manor. Athena was the only other person there at the time, and he saw nobody pass through the main hall until the rest of the guests gathered at around 9:45. Okay. So. The only way upstairs, huh? Looks like someone should have searched around a little more. What's that supposed to mean? I found something pretty interesting during the murder mystery the other night. It appears that Stratter Manor has an odd quirk that even Arthur Stratter himself was not aware of. I'm talking about the existence of a secret passage in the ground floor library. This passage is hidden behind its bookcase and leads to a small staircase, which in turn opens into the hallway on the upper floor. The upper entrance is hidden behind a painting on a set of hinges. Secret passage? Are you serious? What the hell kind of place was Arcus living in? Strange architectural design aside, this evidence proves one big thing to us. Because thanks to this secret passage, we now know there was a second route to the upper floor that the killer could have made use of. You gotta be kidding me. All the killer would have needed to do was enter the passage from the library opening and emerge from the opening on the upper floor. Mr. Wright was busy searching the two bedrooms on the west side at the time. He wouldn't have noticed anyone coming upstairs at the time of the murder. For stabbing the victim, all the killer needed to do was to go back through the passage and return downstairs to make it seem like they had never left. And all they had to do to establish an alibi was enter the main hall before the body was found. The truth is that any one of the other guests is a potential suspect. Except for Athena and Iving, of course. Why, you're absolutely correct. Nice work, Athena. This is just what we needed to turn the tide in our favor. Well, Your Honor, when you say that this fact casts reasonable doubt on the prosecution's accusation, there's no way you can convict my client when other potential suspects exist. I mean, there's only one other person who actually definitively knows. Tisk tisk, aren't you a little too eager, Fraulein? After all, we can hardly end this show when all we've seen so far is the opening act. That means what, exactly? I'll admit I'm a little offended by your lack of faith in me. You don't really think I overlooked that passage, do you? You knew about this, Prosecutor Gavin? Of course. I heard all about it from one of the guests that night. Yep, Ken Forza. In that case, why didn't you tell the court about the secret passageway sooner? Because that same guest's testimony proved that the passageway in the library could not have been used at the time of the murder. Huh? Why not? I'd have him tell you himself, Herr Ivan. Thank you for your time. You're free to go. Humph, good. I think my reputation's been trashed enough for one day. Let's rock on then, shall we? Ken Forza. Yep. It's time for you to hit the stage. Well then. Name and occupation? I'm Ken Forza. I work part-time at an auto shop. Ken, you're going to be testifying against Mr. Wright? Sorry, dude. I just told the police what I saw that night. I didn't know it was gonna get you guys in trouble. All we're interested in is the truth behind Herr Stratter's murder. Tell us then about that secret passage in the library. Why nobody in the manor was able to access it. When you're ready, witness. One end to the passage upstairs was hidden behind a bookcase in the library. Thing is, I was in that room from when the game began right up until Arps's body was found. That means nobody could have used the passage without being seen. Which leaves the main staircase as the only other way upstairs. Sorry, dude. That just means Ken could have done it. I see. Much like Mr. Ivan was watching over the staircase in the main hall, this witness would have seen anyone that passed through the library that night. Which means that the defendant remains the only one who could access the crime scene. This is bad. I can't believe that nobody used that passage. Guess that would mean... But Ken could have used it himself. Miss Sykes, your cross-examination. Right. Went into the passage upstairs, right hidden behind a bookcase in the library. Yep. Oh, I just realized that. Well, that kind of proves that, you know, Connor and, Grace are having somewhat of a, affair or whatever. Well, anyways. So, let's see here. So, went into the passage upstairs, was hidden behind a bookcase. Okay. As I recall, you were there with us when we found the secret passage. Yeah. Phoenix found it by accident when he triggered that secret switch. You told the police about that when you were being questioned yesterday? Of course. That's not all that they asked me about, cause... Thing is, I was in that room from when the game began right up until Arcus's body was found. You were in the library the whole time? Why? Truth is, I was kind of freaked out when Arcus explained the game to us. Because you realized that it was the same as Isla's murder 3 years ago? Yeah. Me and Isla were dating, so it was kind of tough for me. When all this murder mystery stuff started happening, I just wanted to be alone. That's why you hid yourself in the library? We're all very sympathetic towards your loss, I assure you. Yeah, anyway. That means nobody could have used the passage without being seen. Don't you think that someone could have sneaked past without you noticing? I don't know. That secret door makes a lot of noise when it opens. I don't think I'd miss it if someone went through there. You're probably right. I remember the sound of the bookcase sliding into the floor. It looks like I'll need to take another approach. Which uses the main staircase as the only other way upstairs. Sorry, dude. You already found one secret passage. Who's to say there wasn't another? Knox's third law. This isn't a detective novel. It's real life. I'm pulling your leg, Fraulein. Let it be known that the police searched the manor thoroughly for any such passages. But still, I could have missed something. Well, if you have evidence of this second passage, then please present it. Called me bluff. I mean, it could have been in the kitchen, but she wasn't able to search the kitchen, so... some damaging testimony. If nobody went upstairs via the staircase of the secret passage, I know. There has to be another possibility somewhere. In the kitchen. Yeah? Maybe. Maybe in the kitchen. So, let's see here. I don't know. This is... maybe? Let's see here. Before we begin... Da-da-da. 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 Honestly, I don't know. Look for another approach. There's some damaging testimony. If nobody went upstairs via the staircase or the secret passage. Has to be another possibility somewhere. Via the kitchen? I don't know. I'm confused. I think I was in that room from when the game began, right up until Arcus's body was found. Okay. Shouldn't... God damn it. Nope. Alright. Sorry about that. I don't know. I mean, haha! There we go. I was like, no evidence. There's no evidence that I can really use. So, what about people? Alrighty. At face value, this testimony sounds similar to what Mr. Ivan told us about the staircase. But there's one big difference. Whereas I was there to back up Mr. Ivan's claims, you, by your own admission, were in the library all by yourself. Huh? The fact is that you could have opened that passageway without anyone noticing. Sorry as I am to say this, Ken. We must also consider you a suspect in Arcus Stratter's murder. You really think it was him? I'm not sure, but we can't deny the possibility. Well, witness, we're eager to hear your rebuttal. Fine. I can prove that I didn't kill Arcus. You can? Very well. Please continue with your testimony. I didn't go through that passage myself, I swear. We only have your word to go on. Are you accusing me? You used to be cool. Hey, I'm just doing my job. Now, let's hear what you have to say about this. It's not like I didn't have a reason to murder Arcus. I even completed the task from the envelope you gave me. But you're talking about motive, and Mr. Wright doesn't have one either. But unlike Herr Wright, we have no proof that this witness was even upstairs at the time. In other words, I need to cast as much doubt as I can to make Ken out as a suspect. You said that you completed the task in your envelope. Does that mean that the victim was blackmailing you as well? Well... Objection! The specifics as to what Herr Stratter held over the witness's head aren't important now. What we do know is that, like Herr Iving, the witness would have no motive, as long as he was able to complete the objective that the victim gave him. Wrong! You completed the task you were given? That's a lie. How do you know that? Let's take a look at the envelope that Prosecutor Gavin presented earlier. Your role is the lover. Go, hide the evidence that links you to the victim. The lover? I'm sure that this was meant to reference this witness's previous relationship with Eyelid Stratter. Now, I'd like the court to take a look at the piece of evidence Mr. Wright and I found that night. This is a letter written by the victim in the murder mystery game, who, as we've established, is supposed to represent Miss Stratter. It's also been addressed to her lover. Our witness, in other words. Ah. Which means this letter acts as a link between Ken, the lover, and the victim. There's no doubt in my mind that this is the evidence that Ken's role instructs him to hide. No! Was that a letter? But Miss Sykes, that letter has been in your possession since that night. Exactly. There's no way that Ken could have completed his task so long as Mr. Wright and I had this letter. No way! Yep. The witness wouldn't have been able to retrieve that letter, meaning the receiver the Herr Stratter was holding above his head, whatever that might be, would it be revealed. That's exactly right. Which means Ken Forza had a motive for Arcus Stratter's murder. Let's not forget that he also had access to the crime scene via the secret passage. No matter which way you look at it, this witness might be considered a suspect. By me! Well, witness, we're eager to hear your side of the story. Tell us, what were you really doing at the time of the murder? I told you already. I was in the library the entire time. I find that hard to believe. I'm proud of you, complete your task at last. There's no doubt in my mind that you went searching for this letter. Ah! Sorry about that, YouTube. Is this true, witness? Ugh, fine. I admit it. I left the library that night. I didn't kill anyone. I could never do that. Perhaps you should start telling us what you know. Starting with whatever the meaning behind this letter is. It's all because of what happened 3 years ago. Arcus was holding a party to celebrate the success of Bar Link. Isla told me he hoped fund the company, which is why he invited all those suits to his manor. Isla had also been working closely with those guys because she was into all that journalism stuff. I was only invited because me and Isla were dating at the time. But when I showed up, Arcus told me that she was in study and that she'd be down soon. I hung around in the main hall for a while, but she never showed. I got kind of worried. That's when I told Arcus that I was going to go upstairs to use the bathroom. But really, it was just an excuse for me to check on Isla in the study. I opened the door and I found her dead. She'd been stabbed. I screamed when I saw that. I was about to go tell the others, but that's when I noticed it. A letter. It was on top of the desk, and it had my name at the top. I thought it might be some kind of dying message from Isla, but I guess that was a pretty dumb idea when I look back at it. Still, what was in that letter was almost even more shocking than a dying message. Isla was planning on breaking up with me. Whoa. She wrote some stuff about how she was worried about putting me in some kind of danger. That it would be safest if we split up, even though she didn't want to either. That's just like the letter that we found during the game. When I was done reading the letter, I stuffed it in my pocket, before I went back downstairs to tell everyone that Isla had been killed. Removed evidence from the crime scene? Why? I was already worried that I would be accused of killing Isla because I was the first person to find her. I thought that if the police knew about that letter, they might think I killed her because I was angry about the breakup or something. So you hid the letter because it could potentially be used to prove a motive. I'm no psycho. Even if I was upset, I would never hurt Isla over something like that. But I didn't think the police would believe me, so if it was discovered that you took the letter, things would get even worse for you. A motive for the murder, an opportunity, and you even hid evidence from the police. That was what her strategy was using to blackmail you, wasn't it? Huh? It's all very clear once you take a look at the witness's role. Yeah? Pretty much. Herr Stratter must have known all about the letter that his daughter wrote. When it went missing from the crime scene, he would have figured out that the witness took it. So, to ensure his participation in the murder recreation, Herr Stratter made a copy of the letter and invited the witness to steal it back from him. ensuring that his crime from 3 years ago would remain hidden. That's how it all went down, huh? That's seriously messed up. Just like he had proof of Connor Irving's crime, Mr. Shredder also had evidence about what Ken did back then. I guess he must have learned about the letter from Isla. Ken see that she didn't keep secrets from her father. Enough about the past. Let's move on to the present. You weren't in the library the whole time, were you? Ah, okay. I'll tell the truth. I did leave the library to go looking for the evidence I was supposed to find. I didn't want anyone else to know what I was doing, though. That's why I used the secret passage that Mr. Wright found to get upstairs. For reading my envelope, I figured that Arcus must have known about 3 years ago. If it was the same this time, then the evidence I was looking for had to be in the study. I went straight there, passing by the master bedroom door, which was closed at the time. Searched for it, but I couldn't find the letter anywhere. Because Mr. Wright and I had already taken it from the study. I searched for 15 minutes. I figured I was running out of time, and I panicked, so I just grabbed the only other thing that I could find in the study and hoped it would be good enough. The knife. I went straight back to the library and hid it at the back of a bookshelf. Wait a second. You took something else from the study? What was it? Huh? Oh, well, that was that knife with all the red paint over it. You took what? You took what? Order! Witness! What is the meaning of this? I don't understand what everyone is so upset about. I took the knife on a whim because it was the only other thing that looked important in the study. The whole reason that the police concluded that a murder weapon was a knife in the study is because it wasn't there after the murder. Now you're telling us that you were the one that took it? Say what? I didn't know anything about that. But I only took the knife and hid it in the library. I didn't stab anyone with it. Seriously, go check it yourself if you don't believe it. I can't believe that this is the first time hearing of this. Dude, I'm sorry. I really didn't think it was a big deal. Fine. We can work with this. Your Honor, might I suggest sending an investigation team to verify the witnesses' claims? Wow. Wow. Well then. Very well, bailiff, arrange for a search of the library. This leaves us with another problem. If the murder weapon was not the knife that came from the study, then what? You know, don't you, Athena? Yeah, it's the only other thing that makes sense. The weapon used to kill the victim was... The murder weapon was one of the steak knives from the dining room, of course. There were a few of these knives set out on the large dining table. All the killer had to do was grab it before they went upstairs. Yeah, the knife that was in the study was the same as it was in the dining room. Does that mean that the knife that killed Isla 3 years ago was also taken from the dining room? Verifying the murder weapon should be quite easy. All we need to do is ask the investigation team to check whether one of the places the dining room table was missing a knife. In that case, we should wait for their findings. I hereby call for a 30-minute recess. Well, I think that means this video should end. See you in the next video, YouTube. Goodbye.